Speaking of conflict over religion, the last two political campaigns have caused a tremendous rift in Israel to only deepen between the secular and Orthodox or Haredi populations. And chief among the issues, as expected, are differences of opinion regarding drafting into the army, public transportation on the holidays and the Sabbath, and civil marriage. Well, the Peninnah organization has long been trying to bridge that gap between these demographics. And here now to tell us all about it is the CEO of the Peninnah organization, Cnbar Harush גיטי. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, what can you tell us a little bit about Peninnah and kind of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so I think that Peninnah was established just because we feared of 1 year, just the 1 year that we had, being through 2 elections and then creating this terrible discourse in the Israeli society in which each party just explains why the other party is so terrible because the people it represents is so terrible for the entire Israeli society. We think this is the real threat on Israel. Peninnah means inside. It means we're looking inside on core issues that are what we think they are the biggest problem in the Israeli society today. And this is the problem of the security and the safety and everything.
Okay. So yeah, I was going to say, you know, like what, maybe if we can get to some of the specifics and how you're targeting those issues.
So just as an example, the issue of draft, which was the reason why the government hasn't been able to establish now twice, this is a very interesting issue because about 70 years ago when Ben-Gurion was prime minister, he had a lot on his mind. He had a lot of issues. So he created the status quo agreement.
But that agreement was only for like 200 yeshiva students.
400 yeshiva students. And it was a very good idea at the time because, you know, this was a small issue. He had wars and issues to create, to create a country now. So he put it aside and he said, we will deal with it later. He knew this was a big issue, but he said, we should deal with it later. And then the problem was that the strategy of world leaders in Israel was to continue the status quo idea.
Which expanded.
The reality changed, the demography changed, the needs of the Israeli society have changed entirely. But now, an agreement after agreement, everybody wants to...
So what does Peninnah do?
What we do, we argue that someone has to give true solutions. These solutions have to be worked together in order to create a better Israeli society when we understand that we want to live together here. So when we looked at the issue of draft, we found out that the recent government that fell over this was about 200 yeshiva boys that would or not go to the IDF. We went to the IDF, we said, do you need any more soldiers? Apparently the IDF has many more soldiers than he needs just because we have a lot more kids that are 18 years old. So what should the Israeli society ask? How many yeshiva boys should or shouldn't go to the IDF, or the idea of service? What is the new idea of service in Israel? Who should serve? What kind of services do we have? Only the IDF? What about the hospitals in Israel?
There's other national services
What
that can be done.
about the education in Israel? What about welfare in Israel? Everybody strives for more working hands. So what is going on there?
All right. Well, so what is the solution though? You know, and how many Haredim and secular are really into this kind of solution to maybe just change what it means to do national service?
So what we think is that we should stop talking about a law of draft. This is not relevant for anything. We should talk about service. We think that each and every boy and girl, when they reach the age of 18, should have one of these possibilities. And then once they do one of these possibilities, everything in the Israeli society, including solidarity and including their sense of belonging, would be a lot better.
All right, well, I love the idea. Cnbar, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.